Hello and welcome to RPG game design from start to finish. This will be a video guide, a series of seminars, essentially a series of presentations in which I will aim to impart my knowledge of RPG game design to you, to introduce you to my philosophy and methodology of game design, and to impart my experience and to warn you of a few pitfalls along the way. Now, the most obvious question you will want to ask is, why should you listen to me? What value do I have that I can bring to you that makes me worth listening to? I'm James Grim Desborough. I have been working in the role-playing industry since about 1999, so at time of recording these, that's about 20 years of experience, though I did some fan material and so on before then. I've been full-time writing games and publishing for myself since about 2005. So I do have a lot of experience at all levels of the role-playing game industry, from freelancing for other companies to the struggles in setting up my own company and having to deal with all of that. So I do believe that I have a lot of experience that I can bring to you. And I've also been through the ringer, made a lot of mistakes, done things that perhaps I shouldn't have, and so I believe I can warn you away from some of those, or at least make you aware of them so that you can avoid them. What we'll be covering in this series is producing an RPG game from the very beginning, your seed and your idea, all the way through. How to manage your expectations, whether you should create a game at all, what the role of the game designer is, or at least what I believe it is when it comes to creating games, how to brainstorm effectively, gather inspiration, set your goals, decide on your genre and which mechanics to use, because I believe that mechanics do matter, because they can encourage certain forms of play, discourage certain forms of play, and they can reinforce the genre that you're aiming for. How to encourage certain behaviours amongst players, certain behaviours amongst the games master to help enhance the game, making the life of the games master easier, making the life of the players easier. How to convey a setting in an effective way without sounding too overbearing or getting too boring. Pitfalls in design like playtesting, how to avoid getting tangled up in overpromising in crowdfunding. Also, I'll touch on what it's like to work for other people and produce material for them, and how this is good practice for doing things before you start doing it for yourself. Unique selling points. It's marketing speak, but it's something that you will need for your game. There's little point, save for your own self-gratification, in doing something that has been done many times before. I'll give you tips on how to write, how to edit, all on a budget, how to source art in a cost-effective manner, how to source writers in a cost-effective manner, how to make stylistic choices in layout software and how to make an effective layout, pitfalls of outputting to PDF, pitfalls of ebooks, pitfalls of print on demand. I'll tell you how to sell your game, where you can sell it, whether it's worth having your own sales outlet or not, and whether it's worth spending out the money to go to conventions to sell your game. I'll talk to you about marketing, about social media, about your personal brand, your company brand, managing your reputation for good or ill, and whether it's worth paying for marketing. So it's going to be a pretty comprehensive guide for you. No point waiting around, let's get started. Hello all. So I've been doing this sort of consulting thing for a while now. It's gone pretty well. The people I've consulted with seem happy with the information that they've gotten, and even when I've been slightly out of my comfort zone, I seem to have been able to impart a good amount of useful advice to people. So I'm planning to do this whole series of presentations on RPG game design from start to finish, every aspect of it that I can think of. Now, initially, this is going to be for subscribers on Subscribestar and patrons from Patreon only. So if you want earlier access to these videos, then you need to subscribe to me on Subscribestar or sub to me on Patreon for at least $1 a month, and then you'll get access to these soon. You'll also be able to ask additional questions, ask for further details on a particular point, raise topics that you might want me to cover in the videos. So you'll become part of the process of production there. If I hit my $200 a month goal between Subscribestar and Patreon, then I'll make this more of a priority. But at the moment, it's going to have to fit around the other work, the regular work that I do in publishing, video making, and everything else. I get told off for not tooting my own horn, but this is something I do know a terribly large amount about at all levels, from writing for other people to setting up my own company. All of it, and I've made a lot of the mistakes that are possible to make in this industry. So I think people can learn from those, if nothing else. At least I'll be a cautionary example in some cases. But I do hope you'll subscribe or support. Subscribestar for preference, because you need a certain amount of subscribers before you can start getting your money out of there. I keep almost getting there, but not. Patreon otherwise. And details should be below this video if you're watching on YouTube. Take care. Zang.